is the Commissioners Podcast. I'm DJ Gabe
SoundboyT, Commissioners with a K.
Please believe it. And in the studio today, we've got, listen, I'm thinking to myself, this podcast we're about to have, how long is it going to be? Because there's so much to unpack. Because we've got two special guests. There's so much to unpack, but I think we'll try and keep it short because some people are hungry. We're not accusing anybody. We're just saying some people are, and we have to do certain things. So,
Yes, much clever.
So without further ado, let's introduce our guest.
Yes, one is a friend of the room.
Because he's been here before.
Yeah, I mean, no one has made a return visit yet.
He's the first. There's the first for everything.
Yes. Not his first podcast here.
Yes. Yeah, this is Welcome to the Base 2.0. The one you came before was 1.0. But this one is 2.0.
2.0.
Because we're at the other, I think we're at the other studio.
On the other side, yeah.
Yeah.
Turn that to the toilets now.
So this is still 1.0 then. This is a new...
What? You know, it's 2.0. Yeah. It's 2.0. It comes with the
package.
Bells and whistles, as they call it. It comes with bells and whistles here. Welcome, ID Cabasa.
Thank you for having
great to have you back in the studio.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. And we've also got, an Afrofusion artist, a polymath by many expressions. He likes to be known as Gaise Baba.
Gaise Baba.
Gaise Baba. Nice to have you. Thank you. I know it's your first time. I hope you're comfortable.
It's actually my first podcast in London.
Oh, is it?
in London.
We have quite a fit.
I'm already thinking, isn't it? London.
Listen, we make sure you're okay and you enjoy your experience. He's that ID is shown that it's good here. That's why he's come back.
The London boy.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if I met you for the first time around Chelsea area, I thought Osimhen was coming to town. Has anybody got similarity?
Yeah, I actually hear a lot in Nigeria that you have especially in my estate.
Really?
That's what we heard.
Taking walks, and whether the workers or like the owners. So like workers like it's pidgin you're speaking. Osimhen, what's going on here?
Wow.
And there was a day I was taking a walk. It was like early afternoon, so it was hot. So I just found a shade and I was chilling there. There's this woman that drove out of her compound, and immediately she drove out. She was being driven. She asked the driver to stop. So me, I thought she was gonna be like, what are you doing in front of my house? And I'll be like, I'm your neighbor or something like that. And she goes, hello. So I turned. Like, oh,
You look so much
I was
like Osimhen.
what is Osimhen doing in front of my house?
Wow. That's amazing.
I heard it a couple of times.
Nice.
Tell me, did they tell you look like Osimhen?
Yes, 1,000,001 times.
Yeah.
Yeah. But talk about Osimhen. I think let's exclude them for just a minute, right?
You're about to talk football.
Yeah, just one.
Seriously, can I excuse you? Please, just give
No,
it.
let's give us a minute.
Okay, then. All
Because
right.
we've been dying to have this conversation. One, because it's been a very heartbreaking couple of years. It's not something that if you've been following Chelsea for some time now, with the last 20 years. Well, please.
Well, we're a national fan. We don't want you to have this, please.
It's a family matter.
Because a very typical family. Because I read your tweets sometimes and I can feel the pain. I can feel that pain.
The only time I tweet is when Chelsea is playing.
Wow.
And I can tell you that most times I will vow to myself that I'm not going to watch this match. But my love for that club is too much. I will still end up watching the match. And it's maximum tears.
Yes, you said it's maximum tears.
For that 6-2, like off camera, I said this, that look, I'm not optimistic about anything. I know probably that the particular new owner has plans with whatever he's doing. Signing so many players. Maresca, I'm seeing a bit of hope. Let me use that word because I see them play better football now. And I see some of those new guys too. They bought some average players, in my opinion, which I think they are showing prospects. Like the Gil guy and some of those guys. But I am used to winning. I'm not used to, obeying the Christ and and all of that. So as a Chelsea fan, technically you are used to winning. We know some people, which I don't want to mention their name here, before they come after me.
I used to winning since what, 2005?
Oh, that's nearly 20 years or 19 years ago.
So even a 20-year-old girl is married now and has kids. Oh, you go explain, bro. You explain. You go explain.
20 years now, just go and jog in front of Stamford Bridge.
It's possible.
That's how.
I think we should take you there. And actually,
That's the very touch which you guys are.
Once they look at this, look as,
You have like 8 goalkeepers on your books.
yes.
but not all of them are going to. I think I from the economics part of it, I think those guys, they are trying to beat the financial fair play, whatever,
Yes.
with some other. But I don't know why those players that they are signing are trusting them for whatever game that they are playing.
No, you're coming to London club, you're coming to a big club like Chelsea, whatever. The offer.
I do hear that a big club like Chelsea.
2 Champions League. I mean, there's no point. We're not going to the 1870s or whatever. I mean,
Yeah.
limiting football.
I get them before. Yeah, I get them now.
That applies to me too.
How? I have Champions League. I have 2 Champions League.
2 Champions League, Europa League.
See, till your club
Win something.
you win an Europa
Something.
cup. Cup, not
Sure, there's no a cup. Come on.
forget.
Anyway, I don't know. Give me some.
Why is this completely lost? This is like gibberish to me. So I'm just laughing. I just love the banter. I enjoy me. I don't do football. I don't even understand the logic of it. I love the business side of it, but I don't know.
I have a bit of love for Arsenal, though, because they are my fellow Londoners. But
Yeah, I mean, it's
But that's where it stops.
very, 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 very liberal. Yeah, I don't. Anyway, welcome, guys. Welcome to London.
Yeah, it's good to have you guys.
Yeah, I think the last time, let's pick up from the last time. We were talking about the classics that were made, and then you've done a 2.0.
Exactly. Yeah.
2.0. Yeah, and I love a man who listens. I love a man who takes the feedback in and realizes that people really need something of a refresher. Because you mentioned it briefly about how some of these songs could sound now. Imagine if you're recreating them. And then I heard the one with the photocopy that's an amazing one. We had Vector here, so we were playing that in the studio over and over. And then you've had the other tracks as well. Yeah. But what was the thinking? Were you looking at it from a perspective that okay, there is a new generation who probably when that one was made, were not even born, probably, who are now in the race.
How old was the Nice's first album?
Nice's first album was 2007, 2008.
Okay.
That was like going 16, 17 years.
Oh wow, okay. So you have a new listeners, because if my son, who's 4 years, enjoys this music now,
Right.
you have a whole lot of new listeners, new generation. That's the right word.
So when I came the last time, I was already doing those stuff, but I was still,
Of course.
incubating them. And because for me, I feel that the whole Afrobeats narrative that is going on, we are losing meaning. We are losing. If you check out most of what you hear nowadays, there's a lot of identity crisis going on. Some don't want to identify with the compound name Afrobeat. Some people are like, look, this thing is going to cage us. Some people don't even want to identify with our culture again, which is actually dangerous, because I'm not in the school of thought of saying you are right or you are wrong. Rather than say you are right or you are wrong, why not just do something that will tell that story that I think most of them are missing? So a lot are getting lost in that story. The generation now does not really want to respect the guys that paved the way. I heard recently where somebody said, we that started this Afrobeat thing. And I was looking at the person that was saying, we that started the Afrobeat thing. And I'm like, even as I'm seated there, I can't say I started it.
I mean, you have a lot
You
of
understand that this thing is something like a video popped up recently of me talking about this in 2006.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah, a video where I was saying, look, I can feel it that something is, it was Afro pop, hip life. And
Yes.
so then I said it then that, look, something is actually coming together that is going to give Africa a sort of sound. And I was saying it there that I'm not sure whether they are going to call it Afro Cabasa or one thing. So everyone tried a good name. I was just joking then. But I knew something was coming because for any revolution to happen, you will see the sign. There will be conflicts, there will be identity crisis, there will be a whole lot, which are those things that are still going on. So I knew something was coming. This was 2006, and the person that I heard say that 2006, I'm very sure he will still be very young. Probably should be like 8, 10 years old. You should be in high school. Wow. To say you started, because we are losing some of this history to the way we treat what is ours. There is a new, and unfortunately, some of the things that are coming into Afrobeat too is going to actually help remove all of those history, where the sound is being redefined, not from where it is headquartered in Africa. The sound, we are being told this is how our sound should be. He who plays the flutes. Yeah, you start, he takes the tune and all of that. So there's a lot of, I'm not really against all of these things, but I'm just saying that, look, if you think these things are new, then let me show you where the inspiration of those things are coming from. There's no new truth. These are no truths happening to new people. So to think that all of these things are new is not new. So I'm going back to them to tell you that, look, whatever you are hearing now started from somewhere.
Of course.
That, and I called it like unfinished business. That's that's what I'm going to tattoo the whole project. So I'm also on a Reimaging, like you rightly said, on a sort of Reimaging project where I'm bringing some of those old classic, I'm bringing them back that, look, can you imagine if you guys can jump on this particular sweet chorus?
Yeah.
Just give us what is. And now, if you notice, almost everybody is doing that. Almost everybody. People are sampling those old records. People are bringing some of those old classic back.
Of course.
You understand? And shout out to Olamide. Olamide was actually a major force in what I'm doing now, because the conversation started with him, by the way. And you could also feel that nostalgia when you heard Baba Muro Wareni. That song is not only to the Gen Z, to the Alpha generation, it is resonating with them, and to the guys that heard it. And that song, Baba Muro Wareni, is not even pop plays. Yes, now, well, from pop, yes, you can see, you can see how powerful sound is. There is really nothing new under the sun. We are just remixing, we are remastering, we are remaking, we are resampling. That's what we are doing. So we don't want people to lose where it all started from, which is why I'm doing what I'm doing. Because if you don't know where you are coming from, you are lost where you are.
Absolutely. So guys, you are an artist, and just hearing what ID was saying about, there's going to come a point where our music is not going to be inspired or kind of be dictated from the headquarters. You do Afrofusion, your style is Afrofusion, you sing in Yoruba, sometimes you sing in English and Pidgin. When you hear that, how would you be able to maintain the fact that your music needs to be authentic without that sort of outside inspiration?
I mean, you can be inspired from outside, but you just have to keep the core original. I think that's the most important thing. So you still keep your core original. So you can have influences from outside, influences from other cultures. And I think Nigeria does that really great.
Very well.
Like Nigerian artists are great at, taking inspiration from this culture, taking inspiration from that culture. But then what we must try and ensure is to make sure that our core remains like original, and we don't lose that strain of who we are as a people. Even though we are trying to export the sound to
become more international
all over the world, become more international. So for instance, I mean, I've paid a lot of attention to, Bob Marley's journey. And I know that at some point, he started to put elements of like a little pop, a little country. He started putting elements of white music in his reggae, which he was actually being criticized for by some Jamaicans at the time. So like he added a guitarist that was from London, that was from the UK, right? And all those, but if you listen to the music, at the core of the music, it was still pure reggae, right? He just started adding a little bit of influences from other cultures so that it could connect with people in other cultures, in other areas of the world, or other parts of the world. So I feel that's what we must try to do. Keep our core pure, keep our core authentic, even if we are adding elements from other cultures.
So when you hear artists say, okay, I'm not an Afrobeat artist or whatever, how does that sound to you? Because personally, I feel it's a bit alarming, particularly when we have a genre that's, when we talk Afrobeat, was collectively defines the music that we are making now. It's less than 20 years, or just about 20 years. But some of the culture, the historical elements are all distorted. It's all over the place. And it's really worrying for me that even the generation that we are still here, we've seen the evolution of things, are somehow losing the essence of it. It's really shocking to. But for you as an artist, that you believe in the core, like we've got to stay true to the core. How does these conversations sound to you from your fellow artists?
I feel like there's this music that Nigeria is exporting is in a phase right now where there is a strong evolution happening. I feel like some artists will drop, new voices will rise, and I need to put this quite carefully, right? And when it's difficult to define the sound, and I feel even the artists have maxed out on that sound. So it's almost like you're not finding any more frontiers to push. So when you can't push the frontiers with the sound, you are now pushing the frontiers with the name, like what you call it, right? So whether you say you're Afrobeats or you're no Afrobeats, or you're Afrobeat, you're no Afrobeat, all of that, if we hear the sound, and it's not like there's anything different in what you made before and what you're making now, then it doesn't matter what you call it. I think we find ourselves arguing a lot of time about nomenclature, what you call something. So we do a lot of arguments that are unnecessary because you are just arguing on what you name a thing. So even if you name something different things, if it's still the same thing, it's still the same thing. If there's no growth, there's no growth. If there's no evolution in the sound, there's no evolution in the sound. Even if you change the name, the ears can still hear what the ears are hearing. So it's a naming thing for me. But I believe that, and if you listen to a vast different artists, you actually see that many artists, or a good number of artists, are trying to find that like new sound or that new element or that, and I personally don't think anyone has found it yet. So everyone is still like pushing and chasing that sound. But let's see.
What are your thoughts, ID, about this?
So, like Gaze rightly said, which I agree quite a whole lot with in terms of, the sound. Probably we should start from what's really Afrobeat is. I don't think that term phrase Afrobeat is yet understood by many people, which is where the confusion is coming from.
What's your understanding?
So people will tell you it's a genre. I don't think it's a genre. I think it's actually a culture. When you listen to hip hop, you listen to rap music, sometimes you see them sample jazz, and they use jazz to, from a producer's perspective, you see them sample some jazz to just, but what makes it hip-hop is when you hear the bounce. You understand what I'm saying? Sometimes they sample R&B, but you still hear the hip-hop. You understand? There is an element that makes it, okay, from a producer's perspective now, I can explain to you that most times, immediately I hear a particular pattern in a drum that give me this ba, 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 ta, 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 or that give me ta, 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 is rhythmic. There's a way our shakers sound. There's a way, we are the ones that will play shakers like chick, 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 what chick, 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 chick. It's like listening to our local music. You see where we actually marry ourselves. When you listen to a Yoruba guy play music and you are listening to the Ogene guys from the East playing their music from the South and East and all of that, you hear them. You even hear the Hausa guys. Yeah. There's that rhythm, there's that vibe that you hear. That is the music part of it. But what really makes it Afrobeat is the culture. That which was why I said we are not yet exploring a whole lot of things about the culture. We've not even gotten into the dressing. One of the most, should I use the word factor that brings it all together is the language. And when I say language, it's not a particular language. I'm not saying Yoruba, Igbo, Hausa. But once you hear the African language in it, you hear the pidgin, the lingua and all of that, you tell, even when Chris Brown is doing our stuff, he's using our pidgin. Yes. What thing I go do for you? He's bringing all of those things. So those things are unifying factor, which is where I am more like, because I know, I sincerely, most of the guys that are trying to distance themselves from it, I don't really blame those guys. It's because this thing has not yet been well defined, because there's so much, like Gaze was trying to point out, there's so much nomenclature around what we are naming it. I'm the one that named it. We are the one that named it. No, the name came from this part, from that part. There is so much confusion. Like I would say, for confusion break, but it's still going on. Once we are able to properly define it, I think we'll be fine.
I think that the naming convention is actually be quite sort of sometimes can be career limiting, and hence the reason why people just want to make music. Yes. They want to create. They don't really care too much about what we call the sound as such. Because what happens is, let's say for instance, they're pigeonholed, which tends to happen with a lot of labels. They pigeonhole them to this Afrobeat sound, and what happens is when that sound no more becomes popping, the artist goes down the drain with the sound. But they want to be able to kind of cut across. And even for ourselves, we tend to do ourselves a disservice, because we do have artists in Nigeria who don't necessarily do what we call conventional Afrobeats, but they do variations of it, but we still brand them as that. So do you think that is also why people are trying to distance themselves from
This is actually the reason why people are distancing themselves from it, which was why I said, so there is still a lot of confusion on who named it, who were the people that named it, where does it originate from, that we are not paying attention to the fact that it's actually, sometimes the gatekeepers, I will say, once you don't agree that this is what I'm doing, and most times they want to define what you are doing for you, not you defining what you want to do for them. I have a lot of Nigerian guys that are doing rock music, some guys from Ghana too. Recently I worked with some guys from Ghana that they were doing rock music, that they had they were using the Ghanaian accent to sing rock music, beautiful stuff.
What's their names?
Talk, what was their name? And the something bees, yeah. I have too many artists that working with that kind. Something bees, 4 guys, and they beautiful rock music that they're playing, rock band. And the beautiful part of it is they are still telling some of the story, which is what I feel is all about this Afrocentric thing. They were still telling the African kind of story, in their song. Those guys, their songwriting, beautiful. It's not like your conventional Afrobeats kind of songwriting. So this guy was Afrobeat songwriting. So that is where the thing is, like somebody came up recently and said that Afrobeats lacks substance. Deep,
That's something I was going to say.
sincerely, where I'm seated, which was why I said there is really no meaning yet to this thing. That is why we are struggling. I struggled with the name Afrobeats for a long time because I felt that because I felt it was a disservice initially to Fela's Afrobeat. Then later, when they said no, it's not really a genre, there is an umbrella name where we are trying to use this to to export our sound and all of that. I'm saying, okay, if this is going to help us to export the sound, but I was still worried that, look, let us define what we are exporting so that you don't end up anywhere they put you. I can wake up today and say it is world music and there's nothing, because that was the category that it was under before. I can wake up tomorrow and really say, and I keep saying, go and learn what made reggae. Not that reggae did not have influences. Reggae had some. Even Fela's Afrobeat had influences. Had influences of high life, influences of jazz, influences from Orlando Julius. Yeah, Orlando Julius. I'm sure you know, he passed recently. Shout out to him. You know, there is no original idea on the face of the earth. I teach creativity and I tell people that, look, creativity is your ability to hide where you are taken from. It's to hide your source. So at the end of the day, there is really no if you go to rap today, I will trace it back to Africa.
Oh yeah.
Some of us are Yorubas. We know what Ijala is. We know what Ewe is. If you say rap is rhythm applied poetry, what is Ewe? That is what Ewe is. You keep tracing it back, but you know that ego part of the one that started this and all of that. That is why we are struggling with. I don't want to identify. Sincerely, if it was more like, look, you're an African artist, but you do R&B, I'm sure most of these guys would not have a problem with it. Do you understand what I'm saying? If you say you're an African artist, but you do, what genre do we have in the UK?
Grime.
You do grime, you do trap and all of that. Yeah. They won't have a problem with it. But because also there's this part that I don't think any of these guys, the top guys, are in this category that I want to talk about. We are not always comfortable under our own skin. We always look for affirmation.
Speak on that for a bit. So what do you mean by that?
Most times, when it is African, I think we look down on it. This is me being truthful, and I don't want anybody to take this as I'm throwing a sub at anybody. When it is African,
right,
we feel it is not powerful. We feel it is not original. We feel it is not
posh.
It is not posh enough. So feel it is not international.
So do you think it's the artists themselves or it's the portrayal of the Africanness?
I think it's a deeper one. It's a deeper one. Then I also think from our side, there's a perception that we have, which I think is wrong. It's a perception that we have. Complex? Yes, it is. I think it is a complex. I won't say that we don't have our flaws. Like from talking from a musician part, I would tell you that there is still a lot of work to be done as regards our sound, mixing, mastering, and all of that.
Right.
Oh, you know, God. Sorry. You know, because I was having this conversation just a few minutes ago. You finish your point, and then we'll come to the mastering and stuff. Because I feel a lot of great songs are terrible when you play them in a club. So play them in a huge places, you know. It doesn't match at all. Like the scale of the hits,
the sonic,
and then the sonic. It's like this.
Yeah, so there is still so much for us to do. But like Gaze rightly said when he was trying to talk about Afrobeat the other time, there is still a core, which I think our goal should be, let's look at ways to improve, to make it better. Because once you talk, well, it's like our language. Somebody came to Africa and is telling me that I'm speaking vernacular because I'm speaking my language. Is my language vernacular in Nigeria? No. English should actually... It is now. So growing up, our parents would beat us for not speaking English. Because of that. So it's a pattern that we were taught.
Right. So what I'm hearing is a traumatic...
Yes.
It's more trauma. It's what they've been beating into us rather than us having which is turned into some sort of complexity, right?
Yeah.
Because it's all that whole, like you said, it's that perception of how they view Africa and how they've continued.
driven into the fiber.
As in, is in our subconscious, of course. It's our subconscious that even sometimes when we talk, that look, no, we are this, we are that, deep down inside, we are still not comfortable with it.
Do you think like the new generation are kind of changing that paradigm? There's a bit of a paradigm shift around that, because I feel like the younger and the new generation don't have that same traumatic experience because of what they've been exposed to at a very early age. So some of that has been excluded from their lived experience. Some of that, I'm not saying all of it.
Do you think that if an artist does a big show in Akure,
For instance,
or in Ebonyi, or the same artist does,
So these are
These are states.
These are states. Or the same artist does a big show in Manchester or in Berlin, where do you think the average artist feels most successful?
They will feel more successful abroad. Because one, they feel, this is even from my lay perspective, like, that his sound has traveled.
Yeah.
So that reasoning is going to be there. Probably will not be thinking of the numbers. Because one thing I've always said that before the rest of the world or hear of any Nigerian artist, they are big back home and have maybe huge numbers. One, they've made enough money there that they can afford to lead certain lifestyle or maybe to shoot certain videos at a certain level. They've already built themselves. So by the time the world gets to see them, they're already made, So as an artist that I'm locally building my career, if I'm able to sell maybe a 5,000 capacity in Germany, without no brain, I think, they don't understand me to start with. But if I'm able to do that, I will see that as more of a growth than maybe my local people, because they understand me.
I think I agree. But for most of I agree more with this, because, like, if I have a show here and I see, still a complex thing, but I think it's a good one. I see why people come for my show. There is a sense of security that it gives to me, that these people can understand my language, yet they are coming. But if you can convert that energy to become more like a cultural architect, that now I'm actually colonizing this place, rather than seeing it from the point of, my colonizer is seeing me doing well, I think it's better. It's just energy. See, I love Burna Boy. When I see Burna Boy perform, sincerely, that is what I see. That now, I don't teach you now. I'm bringing Africa to you guys. Burna Boy is unashamed when he goes on stage.
It goes back to the point I'm trying to make about the new generation of people, because,
Burna Boy is not, let's be clear, Burna Boy is one of the very few that is so conscious. I've had Burna Boy speak many times. People might not like Burna Boy's outbursts sometimes, but funny enough, me, I love Burna Boy even before he became anything. Burna Boy is an OG, whether people like it or not.
Right.
He's been here for a while.
Wow.
You understand? So when Burna Boy is also coming from a well-informed place. That when you see Burna Boy talk, and you see Burna Boy disagree with some things, I just want people to listen to this guy. Because when you get to listen to Burna Boy, you will see he has the the African consciousness thing that...
This is the point I'm also trying to drive,
You see, Burna Boy is one. Some of I've heard Rema to speak. In fact, I saw Rema recently with his new project. I was in the US with him. We were in New Jersey to watch a match together. And I told him that I keep listening to you and I'm happy with some of the things, because it's still taking me back. The same thing Burna Boy is doing and all of those guys are doing. But I'm saying that few, and trust me, I'm in that place.
Of course.
Few of them have that mindset that we still need to protect this thing.
Right.
But a whole lot of them, sincerely, they, up to the point that some of them, they even don't really care when they have a Nigerian number or they have an African number. They just want to, it's clear enough. And trust me, the people that started the clearing off are the OGs. They might not agree. The band, people should give shout out to the band whenever they see the band. The band Don Jazzy, they did some stuff that people will not do normally. They took some steps and they were like, look, there are territories, keep territories.
Yeah.
Yes, now
the collaboration.
Yes, now that these territories are not territories that we cannot also. So they went big. Shout out to Don Jazzy, shout out to the bunch. They went big on all of those things. They started, which is why I keep telling the younger guys that, look, you're also going to become OGs one day. Respect those guys.
Of course.
Those guys did a whole lot for whatever consciousness, which is where we now balance it up. That I agree with you that is wearing out compared to the way it used to be.
Yeah, and you just recently did a gig here in London. Was that your first gig here?
Yeah.
So how did you as an artist feel doing your first gig in London compared to all the gigs you've been doing in Nigeria?
How did I feel? Well,
Did you feel a sense of achievement doing it?
yeah, I have to say I felt a sense of achievement in the line of what SoundboyT said.
Got a new name, by the way, Sweet Boy T. I like it. SoundboyT.
So make like sweet SoundboyT.
Sweet Boy T. Sorry, as you were saying, Jerry.
Throw that to the girls. Let them come with that. So because I've done quite a number of shows in Nigeria.
Exactly.
Lagos, Abuja, done my own show.
Yeah.
Now I've done a show abroad. I've done Rwanda, now I've done London. And to do that is an achievement.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is I should not feel more fulfilled by a white person engaging my music than
What was it? Is it about the is it about the hue of the people in the crowd, or just the fact that you did it in the country? So the hue does not matter, does it? Or does it matter?
the truth is it
It does matter.
that's why be like these guys don't even understand what I'm talking about.
Okay.
But vibing with the music,
Okay.
right?
Sure.
You get-
Sure.
we should have them vibe to the music. What I'm saying is how do you think it has more value? You know, that's when it goes to how do you value your own people
Or your own product.
your own people engaging your own product.
I agree with
Do you understand?
this.
So it's a thin line. There is I'm exporting the music, other nationalities are engaging the music, but do I despise my people now because Caucasians are engaging the music?
Let me quickly say something. So on Sunday, I was with Gaze at the show, which still takes me back to what I was saying, that until we start to see that what we are exporting is not just music, there is a culture. You'll be held with how they receive your music. But if you have a better understanding, you will be thinking more from the place of essence when you see that it is culture that I'm pushing. So Sunday, Gaze went into the crowd and he was interviewing people, and there was a particular white lady that he went to, and he asked her how she got to know about the show. So she said she went on Eventbrite and she saw that there was going to be a show, that she loves African music, which was why I said, these people love what you are doing. You go on Twitter, you go on Instagram, you go on all of those places, you see white people learning to speak Yoruba, learning to speak Igbo. They are learning your culture. They've started eating your food. That is the influence that is really what the music is doing. That is what is going on, not what is happening.
We see the music
Yeah.
it's a window to more things.
Yeah.
Our music should be like a touch point to other aspects of our culture.
Yeah.
So we should use the music. If the music has found an inroad into the West, into the East, into the Southeastern Asia, Far Eastern Asia, different regions of the world. So the music has found an inroad. Can we leverage the music to export the fashion? Can we leverage the music?
The culture. That was what I said, yeah.
Leverage the music to export the food, right? So jollof rice actually kind of rode a bit
out with it.
Yeah. Afrobeats, but can we export more things? Can our food become like pizza that came from Italy? can our food become like pasta?
When you say can our food become, are you referring it to the sense of fast food?
No, in terms of popularity,
Explain some outlets and all of that.
Just transcends beyond cultures.
Yeah.
Penetrates different cultures. That's when our people start to thrive more. That's and which is part of what we're saying. Like I mean, part of what I've heard different gatekeepers and journalists and talk about, saying a lot of the music is now domiciled abroad.
Yeah.
A lot of the ownership is now abroad. So we're no longer the ones playing the pipe or playing the pipe. Right? We're now tools in the hands of other people.
We are being told to what we need to do.
Yeah, I think that's where the outrage was with like the big two or so denouncing Afrobeats. What ID said has really drummed it home that it's beyond just the music or the tag or the genre tag. It's the culture.
Yeah.
So people took it as being, they denouncing the culture. And that's what the disappointment came about, So where do we go from here? How do we correct such a thing? Whose responsibility, remains to make sure that this is not lost in translation, one, and then the culture doesn't suffer as a result of it?
Probably we should listen to the top guys when they talk. Sincerely, I know most times when people say things, we misinterpret what they say. I've listened to Wiz speak many times. I've listened to Burna speak. I've listened to the likes of Rema talk and all of that. And sincerely, what I keep hearing is they are not fighting home. The people they are fighting are the ones that, look, don't cage me. Don't cage me. They are not fighting the guys at home. The problem is it's a misinterpretation of what these guys are saying.
Clickbait.
Yes, clickbait. You understand all of those clickbait. I've sat down to listen to Burna many times. I've listened to Wiz. I've heard Rema speak. I had to hug Rema when I saw him that, look, you are young, but I love
your coming out of your
coming out of taking the shout out to shout out to Don Jazzy, which means they are raising him well. And you've listened to Mama Burna speak, you will know that this guy is from good stock. Sincerely. Okay, Sunday when we were finishing up with Gaise's show, Gaise came up with a proclamation, which I'm not going to put out here, which is also a major statement to say, look, we understand. We know what we really own. It's not just sound. Sound is merely melody and rhythm. That there is more to this thing. So what do we need to push now? We need to push the narrative, which was where we started from. We need to put the narrative beyond tone, sound, to the essence of this whole thing, which is culture. A lot were taken from us, which is why we are still going through trauma, by the way, like you said. Now they took your spirituality, they gave you religions, they took your learning, they gave you education, which is defined by what they want you to know. They took your energy, demonized your color, that even if you go to any Nigerian school to depict the devil, they must dress in black and all of that. They took a whole lot. You said the other time that are we sure that the generation, see, that thing is going to take generations to clear off us. You understand? Yes, it's clearing bit by bit. Afrobeat, by the way, is a major thing that has happened to us that is helping us to clear off. You know the way it used to be. I've been in this London at some point in my life that I cannot even say I'm in Nigeria. But right now, I'm so confident when I get into an Uber or I get into the train to even speak my Uber on phone. And I'm proud to actually do that. You understand? So it's giving, Gaise said it, and I love the way he presented it, that look, it's a tool to actually get every other thing across. Technically, I can speak for Nigeria. Afrobeat tends to be the only thing that is still projecting the country very well. So we need to use it. Yeah, you understand? Our films now, yes. By the way, our films are also doing that now. I think what we now need to do is to manage the narrative. See, I'm not saying people should not be free to create, but be careful of what you are creating.
Why do you say that? Because I don't feel like the reason why I say that is because one shouldn't be careful. You need to go with it.
Now, we say why I said you should be careful. So freedom is the ability to choose what you're enslaved to. Freedom is not without vice. So freedom is your ability to choose what you are enslaved to. Freedom is actually choices. Funny enough, as good as options are, they are also a distraction. So let us look at it this way. If my option is to be enslaved to truth, we'll tell the African story well. And I'll give you an example. Let me use the movie industry. You know, all in the bits to tell stories, we have actually distorted so many truth. Like where we come from, my Christian brother should not be angry with what I'm about to say. I'm going to use Ifa, for example. Ifa has been projected as being demonic.
What's Ifa for those who don't know?
So Ifa, I'm sure define Ifa now, we'll see.
So Ifa, for me, is a spiritual priest. Or I believe
so that is the practitioner of Ifa. So Ifa is actually like philosophy.
Right.
It's a bundle of knowledge where it has spirituality, it has science, it has maths. The abacus, what is it called? This binary whatever was from Ifa.
Right.
It's 0 and 1. Right. You understand? A lot, but over time, Nollywood, not the current one, will project it to you as just being religious, not even spiritual. That is a religion. Yes, there's definitely everything that is scientific, that is knowledge-filled. There will always be a religion around it. But it's actually more, it's beyond religion. So why I say people should also pay attention, should I use the word careful? No. Let me use the word to pay more attention to truth. Is whatever you are going to put out there should not be true today and be false tomorrow. Probably.
Just be cautious.
Just be cautious. You understand that, look, for it to stand the test of time.
Without boundaries.
Yes. Any truth beyond boundaries, it will become a vice. Because if your freedom is going to be without boundaries, that I just want to do, you will definitely fall into a lot of vices.
In fact, take responsibility for what you are dictating to your people.
Yes.
Because the government, the politician influences, macroeconomic, microeconomic, all of that. Policies.
This is influencing mind, which is getting the mind. You are influencing. See,
that's why artists are always very powerful.
Are very
yes.
And an artist should at least. You can't be full.
So what you're basically saying is the accessibility to your subconscious should not be undermined, because people, you see, that subconscious that you feel like nobody has access to. The creatives have access to it. Every music. So don't never undermine that power that lies in the hands.
Do you know I was talking to Segun Adefila today?
Your ears and eyes influences your...
Segun Adefila, I was on a call with Segun Adefila today. And I said, Segun Adefila is a top Crown Troupe, is a top theater practitioner in Nigeria.
Right.
Stage one of the major top guys. Shout out to him. We're having a conversation today because I was going to do, I'm coming back to London to do a show as the shot. That venue inspired me to do something, which actually has to do a lot with the mind. And I got talking to Segun Adefila, and I realized that each time myself and Segun Adefila speaks, sincerely, we found out that we eat more points spiritually than religiously. We eat a lot of points. We hit a lot of depth more as creative people than even religious people. Because religious people love the mystery. They love the unknown. But as a creative, he is seated somewhere, is trying to create a song. Okay, there's a lot of unknown stuff here. What if I go deep inside this unknown and bring something new out? That means it's going to get into a lot of spiritual essence. And that is the work of, which is why people will tell you that music is spiritual. The people doing music should be spiritual. Fela was, most of the guys that created, Bob Marley was. If you listen to one of the songs I try to sing when I get to talk to Africans is, emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our mind.
That's such a powerful
As a Christian, it's scriptural. Romans 8, is it Romans 8 or 12? By the renewing of your mind.
Even the beginning of that song,
Yes, now I have no fear for God.
Joseph.
Yes.
Because he was talking about
Oh, pirates, said the rabbi, sold out to the merchant ship. You remember that? Yeah.
they took I from the bottom.
Bottomless pit. That was in the bottomless. My eye will be strong by the hands of the Almighty. So until you get into those, and there's no creative. If only we know what is in our hand. They are controlling economics and all that, but you are controlling people's mind, which is where I'm also scared. Which is where I'm also always scared that we are raising a generation of influencers. We need to be careful not to raise influencers that are just influencers in popularity, but not in substance.
And that's what the worry is, that, you know, using the medium of like hip hop, for instance, you know, people talk about sound. I mean, it's a genre that we've all grown to appreciate, you know, because there was a level of message, a level of depth in rap. There is yes, but now, you know, it's become mumbled. So somebody who's from the purist point to look at it like, oh, this is a way of like diluting the culture, a way of diluting people's thinking. Because if you hear a track like Changes today will be changes like, even if you give it 100 more years, the message is so powerful. It's never going to, the time is not going to change it. As long as we still continue to live in an oppressive world, or a world that is influenced by so many evil thoughts and evil thinking or evil ways of doing things. So people worry about, how are we allowing hip hop? I don't go with the notion that, oh, maybe generations have changed or whatever it is. No, it is a deliberate attempt, because they know how powerful music is and how easily it is to cross into the minds of all generations, younger, older, or whatever it is.
But is it a case of art imitating life when it comes to music and hip hop in particular?
That normally happens. So I want to quickly say something here. What I told a friend recently, because we were listening to, I'm sure you know Ebenezer Obey, and of course we were listening to them driving from where I stayed to Peckham, and my friend asked the questions that these people, that they are so deep, they had this, they had that, and that when are we going to start sampling these people? I said, just chill. That I have also studied over the time that some generations will be skipped because they never gave them substance. Some of those songs that Ebenezer Obey recorded were recorded in the 60s, right? 60s, 70s to the 80s. And my question is, what happened to some other songs that were released after them?
Are you talking about the 80s?
Yes.
Are you talking about the 80s?
The 80s.
The Onyeka era?
Onyeka is what they have made for all of that. But I'm saying
not particularly,
but I'm saying there were a lot of songs. I grew up listening to that. So
Alexito,
should I say this, that
it doesn't
Felix Liberty?
I don't want
is that the era you're referring to?
That's all. Where are they? Where are those songs?
Generation.
Thank God for your likes. You still get to play some of those songs. But
yes.
I'm saying, so that this generation does not become a lost generation. I love the vibe. Sincerely, we also need the vibe. Even those generations,
they still had vibe.
Shino Peters gave us vibe. There was a day I was on the panel with.
It still does.
Sir Shino me that. Yeah. I said, sir, you gave sexual, but sometimes too, you were also naughty. So I think to at some point. But I'm saying, as much as you give us all of those vibes, still try to give us sense. Give us a lot of... I listen. I don't want to, because these guys, when they hear now, they'll start pushing me. I don't want... There are some of these guys that are still giving sense. You understand? That you will know that this their song will actually last. I beg people to understand the concept of class and form. I will go back to Chelsea. For football now, a player, his class might be permanent, but sometimes he will lose form.
Yes.
Temporal. It's very temporal. Form, yes. Form is like Vogue. What is in Vogue? Viral. Everybody wants to go viral.
Trending.
But I'm saying, even you can go viral with sense. I don't want to mention the name of any artist, but there are some artists in Nigeria that any song they drop is a hit. But those songs, how long do they last? Really? By the time you play them 4 months after. There was this song, this song was sweet, but please skip it and play the next song. But there are some of these guys too that you played a song that they've recorded, the likes of Olamide and Co. Ori Yami, songs like, you get to hear some of their songs and you are still like, I remember when this song came out. Sino Peter's Ace is over 30 years.
Wow.
Until date, it's still banging. So I'm saying, yes, there's a place for trends, there's a place for form, but they need to actually create more classics. Those classics, you will create them if you are able to actually bring truth, more truth, especially sincerely, we are still going back to the African truth, the story that can go universal that a white man will listen to, and we also realize that.
So what is the African truth, though?
Africa, black is energy, black is motherland, black is power, black is intelligence.
Is that the African truth or the black truth?
Now, so when I say black, definitely, I'm talking about Africa.
For black, for every black man's youth, it's an Africa.
I would like to think so too, but I don't think it's the general consensus.
So that is, like you said, general.
Everyone doesn't need to.
Everybody, even the Jamaicans, some of them, they still disagree. Yeah, but I don't. For me, I believe I can't describe it with just one word. Africa is the mother of civilization.
Of course.
Before you came, there was what? Darkness, by so obviously we were the root of it all. So until we start to embrace this, then you start to see truth.
I like you a lot. And I mean that in the most respectful way, because I've listened to you. I've listened to a lot of. I've noticed after you do a lot of more podcasts nowadays. So you occupy a very unique space for me, and you've become for me the erudite and the intellectual person.
And I'm running from that, by the way.
It's very. I think it's a vacuum that you're filling gradually, and I think you're going to be bringing a lot of people. Like just hearing even Gaise speak to, I know that he's also of that ilk as well. Yeah. So I am liking this a lot because I feel like that for a while we're not having these really honest or open conversations, and for you always strike that balance. So I give an example. So as your base, you're a Christian, but you operate from a spiritual point, which means that you consider everything else, even though you're a Christian. Yeah. How important is spirituality for you and navigating that with your own sort of Christian views and Christian values when you're making music?
So this is beautiful, and I'm sure if I talk, we also have stuff to do, because if there's anything that connects the two of us together, it's actually that spiritual part. Let me first say this, that I'm not a religious Christian. I'm a spiritual Christian. And I'm different. Yeah. So God, for me, does not really care about the rituals. Doesn't really care about that. I'm a Christian. I will quote the scripture that I think really defines my Christianity. John 4. Those who worship the Father will worship him in spirit and in truth. It is not, in fact, when I read that scripture, I see places like a time will come where you worship what you are called, and all of those things will not matter. I don't think Christian gets to read that place. But what will matter is the condition of your heart to truth, which was why I said we worship the Father in spirit and in truth. Where if you read the Message version, it said when your man connects with the truth. And truth for me is when I am actually vulnerable before God. Spirituality connects. Religion actually divides us, which is why you keep saying different. Have you seen different denomination of spirituality? Have you seen?
Hundreds, thousands, if not millions.
But religion, you will see religion. Religion is what? Religion is trying to capture spirituality into a box. So you have your own denomination, I have my own denomination. Funny enough, everybody is picking a truth. Religious people don't believe that two truths can actually coexist. But when you read scripture, which is Bible that I read a lot, I found out that God is not really interested in being caged. He said, the knowledge of my glory shall fill the earth as water covers the sea. there was even one scripture that said that anybody that seek me, I will reveal myself to. And in my head, I'm like, you are God of all flesh. You created every man. How come you will create a man and make him Muslim, knowing that this same man will be raised as a Muslim, might never have the opportunity of becoming a Christian? And I know by your nature, you are a fair God. All of those questions were questions that I asked myself, that how come you will create my forefathers? Where did my forefathers? That's taking me to one of his songs. You know the song, having questions. Because these are questions. That song said there are questions in my mind. The answers are leading to more questions. Will we ever get a conclusion? Any don bolumo and Yoruba means he who has been to heaven and come back knows that everybody is certain of their doctrine and creed. What if you are wrong? That it is the one that has been to heaven and come back that knows. So all of those things, I kept on asking questions. And the more I ask questions, and I keep asking God by my faith that I don't want to be kept in my doubts. Every of my doubts should lead me more to God, which is actually the author of spirituality. I kept on finding that, okay, if love is the true religion of spirituality, then I am supposed to connect. I'm not supposed to divide. And I started studying my religion, which is Christianity. And I found out that, yes, a religion was given to me that sometimes contradicts with the spirituality that the Bible is teaching, especially the words of Jesus is teaching. So what have I done? I know I'm not in rebellion with the religion, because it is what you see that you interpret. But I also understand that it is bigger, especially when Christian talks about kingdom. All of the stuff we are talking about since, about culture and all of that, what is it, please? It's kingdom. Jesus said, your will be done. Your kingdom here on earth. Your kingdom is your culture. What is the culture of God? Culture of love, culture of domination, culture of all of those things. That is what is interested in bringing here. So anything that is going to cage it, why do you think Christianity that I practice face a lot of persecution? Every time we try to cage it, to keep it to ourselves, once we just strike, we'll scatter again. So it has always been it. So I understand the place of religion. I'm not against it, but I understand that my forefathers, if by what John 1 has taught me, my forefather knew God. Yes, they knew God. Because I hear from my language some things. Okay, Olorun, what does Olorun mean?
the heavens.
So in Bible, don't we have phrases like that? What does Olodumare mean? I told you Olodumare before. The one that knows
where we are headed.
Where we are headed. Odu is mystery. The ones that know the mystery of where we are headed. And these words are not English words. They're not. No. They are Yoruba words describing all of these things. And when you speak to a Ghanaian, they will tell you same stuff. When you talk to an Igbo guy, they will tell you same stuff. And you'll be like, all this knowledge, all this rich knowledge, they are somewhere. They took them from us, sincerely. I'm not. I just
Did you see?
I don't want to go to.
I thought this is something that it resonates, because I've stopped listening to certain preachers. I still go back to like Miles Monroe, because he teaches about the kingdom, kingdom living. But my point I was going to make, did you see the recent, I'm not saying discovery or whatever from Russia with Putin?
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, those black images.
Right.
And you saw
the Jesus black.
Yeah, the black all of those.
Yeah, I've started seeing.
But what was it to you at that?
It's not new to me, sincerely, because by the time you see that, unfortunately, they removed history from our nomenclature. That was why I said they gave you education. They gave you what they wanted you to know. There are some things even about whatever they call it that I can't say here.
Right.
Like the Ududua being your, like Mungo Park, discovering Mungo Park that met people there fishing.
Of course.
You understand?
Of course.
They were stuff that they created, you understand, and gave to us to distract us from those truths. You understand? Why is the Vatican keeping so many secrets? Why, whatever Putin actually was trying to dig out, that too might also have a bit of some agenda, of course. You know, Putin is very, sir Putin, I didn't say anything. You understand? That's what he's doing. So we need to be careful of what, that's the guy. We need to be careful of what is happening and what is really going on. You understand? So I know what, we need to be, we need to really pay attention to that. But I'm not surprised that all of those things are coming out. I'm a student of history. Not that I studied it in school, but I love reading. And I've been going through stuff, and you keep finding stuff that if I have money all over again, I think I'm going to. Yes, now. I need to push questions and really allow a lot of young people to put their expression. If anything that stops you from asking questions, please run away from it.
Right.
Run away from it. What is science? Science is known spirituality. What is spirituality? Yet to be discovered science.
And it says, it's the glory of God
concealing, and it is the honor of. In fact, search it, and if you read Message version, it said God like concealing things. Scientists like discovering them. Bible. This is me quoting Bible to you. So for everything that is unknown now, the religious, my religious people like to keep it in mystery because yes, hope, false hope, love to be in mystery. But for every known, even the Bible, there is a lot of known truth that have actually become logical. That because we love drama, we still don't want to believe that they are logic. So at the end of the day, spirituality is what we as musicians work with. What do we work with? Inspiration. What is the meaning of inspiration? Inner spirit function. My spirit is functioning. So my spirit is functioning. My spirit is functioning because there is a place I'm going to. Have you not been there? I'm sure that's my phone. Ike, am I right? Please switch it off. You understand that? So pick up from that place. There are a lot of things that technically we have not seen now. It's not that they don't exist. Science is digging. Not just science, art, which is also scientific, is digging. We are digging into truth. We are digging into stuff. You know, Gaise was doing a song on Sunday. And all over again, this is the same song I produced that I've heard. I even co-wrote. I just add a new meaning to it. We had a chat the other day on Elijah Level. And I told you that Elijah Level was what came to my mind when I was talking about the compression of time and all of those things, which is what it is supposed to be. Not you. You know, you keep saying all of... I love when you mention Miles Monroe because I'm also a huge listener and fan of Miles Monroe. Those are people that they don't want to see depth from the place of complexity. They want to see depth from the place of making what is supposed to be complex simple. To simplifying it, making it useful to people. If your spirituality is not useful to people, bro, you are just practicing a religion. Spirituality is supposed to birth. The first time God's spirituality came down, it created. It is supposed to be creative. It is supposed to be creating. That is what it's supposed to do. It's not supposed to be one thing that you are using to just cage people, that's why you see all of this. I'm sure you have been seeing some of our drama from Nigeria. That some of the pastors. Yeah, some of our drama. All of those things.
So Gaise, you are considered more like a cultural architect. How does you trying to be a cultural architect how do you balance that with your own sort of Christian beliefs? Because some of our cultures, like we've been alluded to, some of them have actually been demonized. So how do you get that fine balance of being able to kind of capture some of that culture that's just not very Christian and put that in together? How do you get that balance?
A primary aspect of culture is language.
Yeah.
Right. And if you listen to my music, it's heavy on language. I was born in Ife.
The cradle
of Yoruba, of the Yoruba race. So my Yoruba, when I speak Yoruba, it's not
of course my head Yoruba like my own. It's quite deep. It has with my Lagos Yoruba.
Ife Yoruba. That's one. Also, when I say cultural architect, it's not necessarily talking about like when I say culture, it's actually reflecting of my faith. So when I say culture architect, I'm saying that I'm architecting a new culture.
What is that new culture?
I am penetrating popular culture with the values of God's kingdom. Right? So, for instance, I go around high schools in Nigeria. I organize concerts across secondary schools in Nigeria. We've done 21 editions. We've reached 31,000 young people. And we're taking values like now unpopular values, like abstinence. We're telling them it's possible to abstain. Values like dedication, like
Honesty.
Those, the Judeo-Christian values that built the West, that the West itself is deviating from now.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting. That's an interesting point. Yeah.
Those are the values that built the West. Some of those values were also part of our culture in Africa, across different regions of Africa. We were big on honesty. We were big on abstinence. Actually, we were big on selflessness. You will hear things like, it takes a village
To raise a child.
Community.
Yes.
You're also big on community.
We've lost a lot of that from modernization and urbanization, and the world is like a global village. And because of that wiping of our mindset, and which has translated to cultural inferiority complex, right? So most things that are from Africa are looked down on by Africans. So it's just me saying I'm trying to take the value, the message, and as well the gospel, God's kingdom, and penetrate spaces with it. I'm not. If you listen to my music, I'm not a
Worship artist.
Right.
Priest.
Right.
I don't make vertical music.
Right.
I don't sing to God. I don't lead people in worship.
Right.
I take what I'm inspired by from God.
Right.
I take it to the people. So my music is more horizontal. I'm talking to people, and it's topical.
Right.
Right. And I believe that me as a Christian and as a
Based person.
Someone who is heavy on faith, who is big on faith, I take lights. My light is developed in the temple, but my place of function is not necessarily in the temple.
Right.
This is light from the temple.
Gotcha.
I'm going into culture,
Right.
and I'm influencing different spaces in culture.
Yeah.
So I founded an urban Christian festival, Aramanda, done in Lagos, done light out across schools. So I'm
Launch 464 soon.
464.
Yeah.
London. A variation of it, 464. Even that is from faith.
Right.
But the way I communicate it, my music is like in faith.
Yeah.
I'm entertaining. But that entertainment is a way.
Comes to the message here.
Do you understand? Because entertainment captures the minds of people.
So the message you mentioned is actually the culture. So I need to quickly mention something. We also mix culture with tradition.
As a fire.
So there are many things that, what is tradition? According to Miles Monroe, what was traded to tradition.
Pressure from
Dead people that speaking. Is what has been traded to you over time. Let me give you an example, which PYD, shout out to PYD, Yemi Davids, gave one time, which really helped me to understand it. So he said there was this lady that got married, and the husband said she should make fish. So she now started cutting the fish into pieces. And the husband said, rather than cut the fish to pieces, why not just fry it? Oh, the lady said, no, that's not how they fry fish. You must cut it to pieces. Now, the question is, why? The wife had no answer. The guy went to the wife's mom. The mom said, that's how they do it. Okay, let me ask my mom. They now go to the grandmother. Do you know what the grandmother said? She said when the mom was growing up, they had a small fry pan. that fish will not be able to. So they had to cut it for them. So something started. It became a pattern. It was tradition. It was traded down, and unconsciously they started making it a culture. That is how. Which is why I'm saying, by the time we start looking at what we account as culture, you'll be shocked that those things are tradition. They are not really culture. Like when he said, saying stuff around honesty, around being upright, he said, "Look, it's in our song, it's in our what is it called? Eulogies, folklore eulogies and all of that. Or all of different adages and all of that. You keep saying those things. They are not traditions. Those are the cultural stuff that we are talking about. That we are omoluabi. At least you know what omoluabi is.
And we're losing a lot of.
Yeah, we are losing a lot of those things. Even the West is losing it. And I will say this, that by the time we break down what culture is, you will know that the human race share the same culture, of course.
Yeah,
of course.
I think it just maybe different interpretations.
This has been such a very, very... I listen, the temptation to go on and on is there. So we need to draw the line.
Yes.
We need to draw the line, or else this could go on for like 3 hours. I watched your Honest Bunch conversation, and it was like 2 hours and something. I was like, whoa. I don't think I've seen a lot of those podcasts go on for that long. Sorry, Teddy.
Yeah, I was going to say that back to the point that you're making about honesty and stuff, if you look at, growing up, I remember very well when thieves used to come around, they come maybe to the kitchen, they take a saucepan of soup or something,
What thieves are this one in Ghana?
Oh, yeah,
But the thieves in Nigeria are different.
I'm coming to the point. But it's going to a point where now, we've undervalued some of these things that used to hold those honest, like stuff in, things about honesty, things about being selfless, looking after your community. Yes. So people come in there, they are not coming to come and harm or maybe steal. He's hungry, probably just charged in there and ate the food, basically. But now when thieves come, they come to kill you. So the morality or the fiber of our communities is so depleted to an extent that life doesn't matter to you. Yeah, life doesn't matter anymore. And this is something that's even happening here. People think, maybe immigration or whatever, but they forget it now. When you've made the system so liberal, it compromises a whole lot of things.
That was what we said when we said freedom without borders. We definitely come as a
You understand? So we are making excuses for why certain things are happening without necessarily digging deeper into the reasons why these things are happening. There is no respect.
Yeah.
So if I don't respect you, can I not just put a knife in you? That's a no-brainer. So until we reweave this into our fabric of society, some of these things are never going to change.
Yeah, definitely change. Definitely. It's been nice having you guys, but before I go, I have to ask you one question each. And it's the same question, actually. What are the top three books you've read that has helped you shape your thinking? Your top 3 books. It's the same question I'm asking.
One would be Church Shift by Sunday Adelaja.
Okay.
Second would be This Fella Self.
By who?
By
this fella's biography.
Bonner's granddad.
Oh, wow.
I don't know.
What's his name now? I have to remember his name.
I'm sure the title will help.
Bonner's granddad.
Yeah.
Bonner's mom's dad.
Who used to be the manager for Fela at one point. Yeah.
Okay. They met at the radio station, I think 50.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
From the UK. That's true. Now I have to think. So I'll say maybe the third one is The Music Evangelist. It's by Buchi.
Okay.
A musician called Buchi.
Yeah, I know Buchi, yeah. Okay.
What, South African?
No, he's Nigerian.
Oh, okay.
His name sounds South African. He's a reggae artist. I have seen him as one of the people I grew up listening to.
So yeah, I've read several books.
What about you? What's the one that has helped shape your thinking?
There is a book, if I can categorize it as a book, that has changed everything for me. Number one, the Bible.
Right.
The second will be Purpose Driven Life by Rick Warren. I read Purpose. Then there's this book too that really helped me about my leadership, on self-leadership. No, all of those ones were evil books. I read evil books too, but let us go to those ones. I'm coming, I'm going to get it now. Then, Laws of Leadership was great, but there is also a book by Miles Monroe that you mentioned, Fatherhood.
Oh, yeah.
The Principle of
I've got it. I'm here to
write one on character. I'm reading several books.
I can imagine. But listen,
again, yourself, yeah. I mean, because you were a reader.
Yes. The one that helped me, that helped shake my thinking, that opened me up, was
I remember Benson Idonije.
Yeah, that's it. So, Seat of the Soul by Gary Zukov really kind of opened my mind many years ago. Think and Grow Rich shaped my, and How to Win Friends and Influence People. The book is that book that really kind of made me shake my thinking as well. Those are really good.
I have one funny book that I read growing up, Animal Farm.
Oh yeah, that was like recommended, like from
but that I understood it when I read it.
Yeah,
that story is the human story and all of that. That book got me all emotional.
Yeah,
I love Snowball a lot.
Yeah, but I don't know farm. Yeah, that was like prescribed, but when I was in
Napoleon, I remember Benjamin, all those names.
Yeah. But listen, guys, it's been a pleasure. I hate to see you go, but we have to.
I know, right?
It's been a pleasure. Listen, ID, you're going to do it third. I do. You're going to
when the project is ready.
Yeah,
the project is ready.
Yeah.
By the way, we have to call you back because the whole stuff that this guy is doing.
Yeah.
But how did you two meet, though? I mean, that we know we run up. Just yeah. Because you seem to be aligned in a lot of ways.
Yeah, that's my one right there.
So if rather than how we met, obviously I was ID Cabasa. I think I saw Gaze was trying to reach me at some point, but he never was able to. Then I started seeing some things that he was doing. I'm a lover of Yoruba rap and all of those things, and I stumbled on his music, and I'm like, this guy understands the drill. So luckily for me, Leke, who happens to be my wife's younger brother, they went to school together.
Oh, nice.
So, and I'm like, Leke said, I know Gaze now, and all of those, and I'm like, but before there's an interesting detail that we normally leave out most times. At some point, he was signed on to Coded.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Oh. In fact, Gaze was the only artist that was with Coded when I was about to start revolutionizing some things, to take a new journey and all of that. It was the only artist that, and I would think he actually came to the table with a lot of stuff, and we became close because we aligned more from the place of essence, from the place of spirituality than any other thing. Yeah.
That's evident.
It's been a pleasure, guys. Yes. So that is a wrap from the Commissioners, and we are out. Peace.